And away we go. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome one and all to Coffee Talk. It is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today. We'll take a look at some clips from the news and have a little bit of dialogue with those of you who are able to join us for the live portion. And if you are interested in joining us for the live portion, if you happen to be listening somewhere else and you wanted to find us, you can find us on YouTube at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University, as well as X. You can find me on at Coffee Talk Chat. Got a bunch of felines in the doorway. 1, 2, 3, 4, all in the doorway. I don't know what they're doing, but we'll see if they make their way in all the way into the room here. Naturally, I do read through as many comments as is plausible. So I'll go ahead and I'll say hello to some of the people that have chimed in thus far here. It says like, share, and subscribe. Yes, please do. Brian is here. Helter is here. Dragon, as well as Jane. Glad you could make it today as we get ready to jump off into the realm of the ridiculous, as we say. Taking a look at some of what is going on in the world today, and it's quite crazy. Just wrap up with what's been going on with the unions, because evidently they're getting back to work. There has been some sort of an agreement reached. I think the agreement is for something along the lines of 61.8% or something. They were originally offered 50. Dagget said no. He wanted 77. He was very vocal, threatened to cripple the country, so on and so forth. But I think it's been really interesting looking into exactly who the hell this guy is. And League is here, as well as Jericho. It says, Kitty Council deciding my fate. Probably, yeah. Probably. Hopefully it's favorable. And we've already established a lot about this guy in the last few days. Dagget. New York Post article. Union boss who threatened to cripple the economy lives in a luxurious 7,000 square foot mansion. That's right. Harold Dagget, union boss, who has vowed to cripple the U.S. economy if ports don't ban automation and raise dock workers' wages sharply. And I don't know if there's been an automation ban involved in this contract negotiation, but those people can sure expect to be slowly replaced. We talked about that in detail yesterday. Had a Bentley convertible parked outside his sprawling mansion in New Jersey, and these are exclusive photos from the Post. Photos taken by drone Tuesday show the British luxury car parked with its top up outside what appears to be a 5-car garage connected to a 7,136 square foot Tudor-style home by a covered skyway. The hulking 2-story mansion, located on 10 acres of property in Sparta, a leafy enclave 50 miles west of New York City, encircles a spacious backyard patio with an amoeba-shaped pool. Must be nice. Must be nice. A covered outdoor bar situated next to what appears to be a massive brick oven pizza. Or pizza oven, excuse me. The gate to the far side of the patio opens toward what looks like a freestanding sauna surrounded by a spacious wooden deck. An expansive swath of forest surrounds the property on all sides. Posh compound nestled in a picturesque section of the Garden State near the Delaware Water Gap, where 5-bedroom homes list for as much as $6 million. And there is an aerial shot of his home. You can see his pool, the attached 5-car garage with extensions, covered deck. There's the Bentley. There's the sauna. There's the outdoor brick oven pizzeria on his 10-acre lot. And D-Lo has joined us. Dragon says they've dealt with a lot of union bosses in their career. 9 times out of 10, they were looking out for themselves and expecting kickbacks, of course. And Legends is here as well. That is amazing. And this is the guy whipping up dock workers in the Longshoremen's Union, telling them that the companies are getting over and living high on the hog, wealthy millionaires holding them back. Seems to me like he's doing pretty well for himself with his damn near $1 million salary, paid for. Actually, I read somewhere the highest paid union boss in the country. $901,000 a year, paid for out of union fees that he pays himself. Okay. Has a yacht, has a Bentley and other vehicles. And he's a foul-mouthed individual. Helter says his speech raises a few things for me, a lot of the word I and not we, and generally egotistical remarks for someone who's supposed to be the representative of workers. It seems more about him. Of course. And plus, he's in the spotlight now. The news is looking at him. He must be loving it. He must be loving all the attention, because I sure never heard of this guy. But look at this. Tells you everything you need to know. Gary Edwards has joined us. And Jericho says we're in the wrong field. Yeah, it doesn't add much credibility to the phrase crime doesn't pay, does it? It seems to me like crime pays very damn well. And here I am trying to be honest. Do things the right way. I'm not stealing. I'm not hustling anybody. I'm not taking kickbacks. I'm not taking bribes. Oh, it must be nice. Legend says people who live in a house that big clearly are out of touch. And Tuck says, watch for the book deal. Yeah, that's how all the real money laundering is done. Ask any politician. I think it's funny, too, when people make fun of Trump for selling a book. And because they have a Bible. Actually, it's a Bible combined with the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, if I remember correctly. And they're like, oh, he's selling a Bible. Yeah, and show me the politician who isn't selling a book. Baki says the wages of sin is more wages. Yeah, big money, big money. That is a nice house. That is a nice house. Must be great. Here's another aerial shot from a different angle. And this is a drone that was flown over the property by the New York Post to get a better idea of who this guy is. The union boss, who is often seen in public sporting a polo shirt and a chunky gold medallion around his neck, while casting himself as a staunch advocate for blue-collar workers, also previously owned a 76-foot yacht, according to reports. Does he no longer own the yacht? Does he no longer own the yacht? More than 45,000 dock workers went on strike Tuesday, shutting down 36 ports from Maine to Texas for the first time in half a century. And I guess that must be the sauna in this one shot. Yeah, Dagget's home features a likely outdoor sauna. Okay. Must be great. I wish I lived in a house like that. I wouldn't go anywhere. You'd never hear from me. Just fade away. Fade away. I'm not going to rub it in anybody's face. Jericho says if it were the YouTube community, he would definitely be doxxed or swatted. Yeah. Brian suggests it's because I'm a good person. I try. I want to be a good person, and that's the difference. I don't want to rip anybody off. I don't want to steal from people or cheat people or lie to people or take bribes or whatever. Nature Nerd says one of the shortest strikes, less than a week. Yeah. Well, I mean, that was probably an angle that the company was already willing to go to, because they had already offered 50. They offered a 50% increase over 6 years. I think it was 6 years. And that 61.5 or 61.8, if I get the exact number, that could have been negotiated without a strike. It could have been negotiated without a strike. He just wanted to show his ass. That's all it is. And Gary says, Chunky Gold Medina. Yeah, he wants to. You know what it makes me think of is, oh God, what is the name of that movie? Tom Cruise was in it, and he played the producer. I'm trying to think. Jack Black was in it, and Ben Stiller. They were making a war movie. It was a parody. And at the end, he's dancing, and he's got this big gold medallion, and he's flashing it. Tom Cruise's character. Fluke Man is here. And Jane says, you're making me laugh, good person, and never leave his huge home. Yeah. If I won the lottery and I had a house like that, why would I rub it in anybody's face? Why would I rub it in anybody's face? Oh, and just for the record, Nature Nerd says, still suspicious how short the strike lasted. Almost sounds like Biden activated the Taft Act because the strike is on pause till January. Tropic Thunder, thank you, League. And Tuck also got that. Tropic Thunder. Couldn't think of the name. Couldn't think of it. Sven says, what if this was all to get the eyes off the port to bring in bad things? Never know. Not Pineapple Express, Jericho. That was a movie about marijuana or something, wasn't it? I did the short on Prepper University this morning, showing the mask because somebody was asking about it. See, that's a 3M 5203 chemical mask, acid mask. This is what you would want to wear. This is what you would want to wear, pulled up from our storage downstairs. My wife and I have these, but this is your chemical rated mask, 3M 5203 if you're in the Rockdale County area and you were concerned. I drove by the BioLab plant today, and it's still cordoned off, but there's still vapor coming up out of that thing. I thought to do a short while I was driving, but I didn't want to do that. And there's really nowhere to stop. But yeah, there's still like a cloud coming up out of there. Baki says, nice. Yeah, that's the one you want. And in particular, the one from 3M is rated at 10 times OSHA requirements for this type of mask. That's why I've got the 3M one. And you can probably find it on Amazon and get it delivered by tomorrow if anyone needed one. And Tuck says, how much do they cost? Probably around $30 for one of those respirators. Probably around $30. But yeah, 10 times OSHA requirement rating for the standard for the standard of this grade. And it's for chemical and organic airbound compounds. And Cruising said they thought 3M just made tape. They make a lot of stuff. They make a lot of PPEs. And so this is the one you want. We have a few of these. This is the one you want. And I believe actually this is the one that Rockdale County issued to their workers who were going to be near the plant. Tuck says 31 to 40. Okay. And Brian says they like their 2,400 square foot house just fine. I've lived here my whole life, and there's nowhere else I'd rather live. There you go. If you're, you don't even need the mansion. I just thought it would be nice to have that much space, but I don't need it. We're fine right where we are too. Legend says, I still remember that Canadian forest fire happened in 2023 and experiencing the smoke in central Ohio. And Dilo says, how many masks you get? There's only one. It's one per bag. There's only one in every bag. And Baki says, awesome. It's even affordable. And Tuck says 3M PPEs are better than tape. The roll of 3mm in my house is weak sauce. Okay. And Puck wants to know about cats. Well, there's still a couple of them sitting in here before we move on. There's Daniel and Granny Smith. Well, yeah, that's just the mask. You're gonna have to provide your own goggles. You're gonna have to, because Fluke Man asked just a mask. What about skin, eyes? They're assuming you've got a hood and goggles already. Okay, which we do if we need them. But there you go. There you go. As we move around here, talking about the Migrant Industrial Complex. Oh, this is another New York Post article talking about the crossings at the border. Northern border. We're going back up to Canada. Illegal migrant crossings skyrocket 50-fold under the Biden-Harris administration at northern border stretch that includes New York. That is true. We've read about this before. The number of migrants caught crossing a stretch of the U.S.-Canada border that includes northern New York has skyrocketed, increasing more than 50-fold under the Biden-Harris administration. This year, illegal crossings surpassed the number for the last 17 years combined. So just this year already, and the year's not over, more people have snuck in across the northern border than in the last 17 years total. The Border Patrol agents in the Swanton sector, which includes more than 200 miles of land border between Maine and the St. Lawrence River in New York, apprehended more than 19,000 illegal migrants from 97 different countries in the fiscal year of 2024, according to the Border Patrol. 97 different countries, and that's just that section. That's just that section. That's the Swanton section, 200 miles, cutting across New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire. And there's the graph. In 2021, there was 365 encounters. 2022, 1,065 encounters. 2023, 6,925. And then this year, so far, and remember, we got 3 months to go, damn near 20,000 encounters. And that's just the ones they found. Because you can't imagine that a handful of Border Patrol on the northern border of Canada are very adequately covering that 200-mile stretch. Just saying. Just saying. Okay, 97 different countries. The number of crossings from Canada is smaller compared to the southern border. Yeah, that's true. And they go on to explain the graph that I just read, so there's no point rehashing that altogether. But of course, the northern border is 5,500 miles, and most of it unguarded. Most of it is unguarded. But the majority of the crossings, and I'll expand this graph. I'll try to. Hold on. There we go. This is the entire border. Oh no, that's something else. I misread that. So no, I don't want to mislead anybody there. I thought that was a different graph. It's the same. It's a bar graph of the same type, telling the exact same information, basically. So here we go. Puck says that means, hold on, I'm having issues now with Restream. Here we go. Jane thinks Monkey is cute, and yeah, he's getting bigger. Monkey is getting bigger. Legend says they're still curious to see how much Monkey has grown. Well, he left the room. He was in the doorway with Uncle there, but they took off. They ran off somewhere together. Jane wants us to build a wall. Yeah, that's right. Build a wall around the whole country. And Puck says that means Canada is aiding and abetting the invasion too. Correct. That is correct. Cruising says, man, I was looking at buying a house in that section of New Hampshire because I could get acreage with its own water, barn, and farmhouse for less than $150,000. Now you know why. And Dragon, of course, the obvious thing to do is send the migrants back. But of course, for Democrats, the most uncommon thing is common sense. Absolutely. All People says it's interesting they used the comparative number of 17 to analyze the migrant crossing, as 17 is the occult number for transition. Is it? That I wouldn't know. Gary says, thought to myself, that can't be true, but there it was, a going blue, blue, blue. Indeed. Absolutely, indeed. But that's okay, because according to Biden, he's actually reduced the number of border crossings. He's actually reduced it. Seriously, check this out. And this is a Center Square article coming along. Here we go. Biden claims he's reduced illegal crossings nearly 14 million since 2021. Has he? Roughly 40 days ahead of the November election, President Joe Biden claimed that an executive order he issued this summer has reduced illegal border crossings by 60%. In an amended September 22nd proclamation 1077-3, he claims a June 3rd executive order he issued suspended and limited the entry of certain non-citizens into the United States across the southern border during times of high border crossing. Oh, thank you, Joe. Following his directive, U.S. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas and Attorney General Merrick Garland issued an interim final rule claiming to limit asylum eligibility for certain non-citizens who illegally enter the country, which he says already produced significant results. As of the end of the last calendar month, the average number of encounters by the United States Border Patrol at our southwest border between ports of entry has decreased by 59% compared to the period after the circumvention of lawful pathways rule began to apply May 12, 2023, and before Proclamation 1077-3 went into effect. August, we had the lowest 2 months of encounters between ports of entry since September 2020. So there's a lapse, a temporary lapse. There is a temporary lapse. He also claims DHS removed or returned 70% of single adults and family members, including more than 119,000 individuals, to 140 different countries. He has more than tripled the percentage of non-citizens processed through expedited removal. So, what's that got to do with it? What's that got to do with the fact that millions of them have already poured into the United States, and most of them you don't even know where the hell they are? And that they guesstimate that they've prevented 14 million additional people from crossing over since this rule was put into effect September 27th. Okay. Did I miss something? Did I misread something there? Oh my God. So thank you, Joe. Madge says that Biden is delusional. I know. Dragon says they've seen footage of Canadian police letting illegals into the borders without putting up any resistance. Any resistance. That is true. League says League of Smoke, the only thing Biden has reduced is the amount of chocolate chip ice cream in the store. And Cruising says they probably clamped down on European migrant entries. Yeah, from 140 countries. Come to America. Come on, the melting pot. So he says that he reduced it. But what needs to be happening, and I'm going to jump to an Associated Press article. We're going to jump to the Dominican Republic. Dominican Republic article from the Associated Press article. Dominican Republic will be deporting up to 10,000 Haitians a week because they've got an excess of migrants. And this is how the Dominican Republic handles their migrant crisis right here. If you can see the image, got some guys in a cage ready to go. Said, no, we got too many, go home. Dominican Republic announced Wednesday that it would start massive deportations of Haitians, specifically living illegally in the country, expelling up to 10,000 per week. Government spokesman Homero Figueroa told reporters that the government took the decision after noting an excess of Haitian migrants in the Dominican Republic, which shares the island of Hispaniola with Haiti. Figueroa said officials have seen an increase in Haitian migrants as a UN-backed mission in Haiti to fight gang violence flounders. What? You mean the Blue Hats aren't doing their job again? I can't believe it. He said authorities also agreed to strengthen border surveillance and control, but he did not provide any details. Last year, the Dominican Republic deported more than 174,000 people back to Haiti. And in the first half of the year, it has expelled at least 67,000 more. And that's not a big place. Activists have long criticized the administration of President Luis Abinader, if I pronounce that correctly, for what they say are ongoing human rights violations of Haitians and those of Haitian descent born in the Dominican Republic. Abinader has denied any mistreatment. Listen, if they're there illegally and he's got to throw them out in order to maintain balance in his country, that's not a human rights violation. It's a human rights violation if he allows the overcrowding of illegals that are pouring over his borders or washing up on his beach to displace the people that are already there. Ask anyone in a Western country how they feel about it. Gary Edwards says, "Vamonos, no kidding. No kidding." And Puck says the Dominican Republic doesn't play. Exactly. And Puck says it's already been shown that Mayorkas is only interested in immigrants with criminal records. But yeah, this is how you do it. And that's just too bad. And they've got to crank it up. They threw out 174,000 last year, and so far they've thrown out 67,000 this year, and they're like, it's not enough because they keep coming. And they're just talking about Haitians. They don't even mention people from other countries here that might be coming in, but I guess they have particularly a big problem with Haiti. So they send them back. They send them back, and they're going to crank it up to about 10,000 a week. And that's expensive all by itself, deporting that many people, especially for a small country like the Dominican Republic, especially for a small country. But what do you want them to do? Let those people hang around? Rob, cheat, steal? They're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. You can't support it. You can't. You've got to throw them out. It's the cheapest and smartest thing to do. And again, people, oh, it's so inhumane. He's not being humane to the Haitian people. What about the people who live there? What about the people who are citizens? What about the people who were born in that country? These are not people that are born in that country he's throwing out. Unbelievable. Cruising says crossing a border illegally should be recognized as willful forfeiture of international human rights. Hey, there are countries where they'll shoot you for it. Brian says Katy Perry, maybe Katy Perry still approves. She said she would have zero borders and that we need to coexist with everyone. Now, let them cross into her yard. And All People says after Haitians killed 75,000 white people during the Haitian Revolution, Haitians invaded the Dominican Republic and enslaved the mulatto, Taino, and remaining white people on Hispaniola for decades. And Johnny Future has joined us. Glad you could make it today, Johnny. Glad you could join us as we continue along here. And what is this story? Oh, this is important. This is important. And this has to do with a whistleblower. This is a whistleblower article. I almost forgot about this one. CPR News. Okay. Former Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters sentenced to 9 years behind bars. That is Tina Peters. I am not sure how old she is, but she's obviously an older woman, right? Okay. Former Mesa County Clerk was sentenced to 9 years of incarceration, most of which will be served in the Colorado Department of Corrections. Peters' attorney indicated they plan to appeal. 21st Judicial Judge Matthew Barrett preceded his sentence with a blistering critique of her actions and attitude, calling Peters an attention-seeking former official who only thinks about herself. Quote, "You are no hero. You are a charlatan who used and is still using your prior position in office to peddle a snake oil that's been proven to be junk time and time again." Barrett handed down the sentence in front of a packed courtroom, including supporters of Peters, several uniformed sheriff deputies, and local elected officials. An overflow crowd gathered just outside the courtroom, streaming the proceedings on their phone from feet away. Peters was found guilty by a jury of Mesa County residents on seven counts, including 4 felonies, after she helped facilitate unauthorized access to county voting equipment that she was supposed to safeguard in search of voter fraud. Her supporters have never shown that the machines were involved in any sort of election manipulation. Okay, now this is what's going on if you haven't seen this woman before. Okay? If you haven't seen this woman before, she found discrepancy, to my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, found discrepancy with the Dominion voting machines in Colorado. She accessed them. The data that she thought she found, Dominion deleted. She whistle blew on it that something was wrong, now tried and convicted and sentenced to 9 years in prison. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Nature Nerd says the dock workers' strike isn't really over because they just extended their contract to January 15th, which is right after the election. That's really suspicious. Yeah, it is. It's in a great position to sabotage whoever comes in. But at the same time, it sets them up to have more replacements by full automation. And we talked about that yesterday. So this woman was concerned that the Dominion voting machines weren't doing right. Tried to expose it. Ended up in prison for 9 years. And got reamed by the judge. He gave her the maximum possible sentence. Dragon says, this is so weird to see the court system working as intended. Yeah, what, to crush the little guy? Puck says, basically, if you succeed in exposing a drunk driver but have an expired tag, you go to jail. Warren says, many airborne chemicals, chlorine is one that will go through skin. And Helter says, this judge called her an entitled Karen in the most professional way. Basically. And there's a lot of people that believe in her. The courtroom was full of people supporting her, and it was all outside. There was a lot of people outside supporting her as well. Former Mesa County Clerk found guilty on 7 of 10 charges. I don't know how old she is, but she's obviously old. Quote, I'm not a criminal, and I don't deserve to go into a prison where other people have committed heinous crimes. Let me see here. She asked for probation in part to be able to keep visiting her 95-year-old mother in Virginia. I never expected that just doing an image which was completely legal before and after the trusted build would have landed me here. I thought I was going it was going to come out quietly. I'm not sure what that means. Incredible. But there's been a lot of buzz about this, especially on X. So is she really guilty of a crime? Is she really guilty of some kind of a crime? Because, you know, the law isn't always ethical or moral, and it doesn't always make sense. Gary Edwards says the whole system is intentionally rigged, so blowing a whistle on it just focuses attention on your dancing booty. Yeah. And they will burn you. They will burn you down to protect their assets. Another Central Square article. And we read something like this at the beginning of the week because it was in, Michigan, right? The food pantry that was shut down because they made it a Black and Indigenous people only food pantry and told white people they weren't welcome and they were closed down. Take a look at this. Sacramento pilot project welfare program bars whites, Asians, and Hispanics. All right. So there you go. A new Sacramento unrestricted cash welfare pilot program that will distribute $725 per month to selected low-income parents or guardians of Black or Indigenous children allows individuals to apply regardless of immigration status. Oh, wow. The program does not provide an option for parents of white, Asian, or Hispanic children, leading critics to wonder why the county adopted racial restrictions when a needs-based program would be far fair and less subject to legal scrutiny. The county's consideration of race is problematic because the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution forbids the government from classifying individuals based on race. They seem to be doing a lot of it lately, though, don't they? The program would be presumptively invalid unless it's remedying specific discriminatory acts by the government. Specific legal foundation. That doesn't seem to be the case here. It is unclear what discriminatory laws or policies by Sacramento are causing disproportionate outcomes for low-income families that merits a discriminatory solution. Also, the fact that you don't have to be a citizen to get it is problematic. The Sacramento Family First Economic Support Pilot will provide $725 per month for 12 months to 200 randomly selected parents or legal guardians of Black or Indigenous children up to 5 years old living in select Sacramento zip codes with an income under 200% of the federal poverty level. So people that are already on welfare are eligible. The program is funded by a state grant through the California Department of Social Services and has a goal of improving child and family well-being and decreasing the potential of contact with or entry into the foster care system. Yeah, that's just great. That's just great. Gary wants to know what happened to that Boeing whistleblower. Yeah, both of them are dead. They're both dead. We read those stories a while back. Tuck says whistleblowers should try to do anonymous data dumps whenever possible. No kidding. And Johnny says laws are moral. It's the judges who aren't. Not always. Some laws are pretty stupid. Legends says it's crazy. However, one diehard liberal at work the other day, when it was just me and her, admitted she finds a trans coworker confusing and wishes he would just pick one. Yeah, that's because she puts on that facade when she's around other people. Dragon says if a whites only, Asian only, or Hispanic only food pantry opened up next to the Sacramento food pantry, the owners would blow a gasket. And Gary suggests you can't fix a rigged system from within, only from without. Legend said they shared that only because it gives them hope. Deep down, I think the liberals are scared and sick of this crazy world we're in. Jane wants to know, can a felon vote after 7 years out of prison? I heard in Georgia they can. That I'm not sure about. That I am not sure about. I don't know if a felon can vote, or how long, or if it varies state to state, or whatever. As we move around here, more scandals for you. There's always scandals in the news. And it seems like it almost always involves either lawmakers or charities. And this is another local one. And this is a Fox 5 Atlanta. Atlanta shaken by new pay-to-play scandal involving city officials. Another one. So allegations of pay-to-play have resurfaced in Atlanta as the Office of the Inspector General released a damning report Wednesday implicating city employees in a bribery scheme. The report accuses 2 former employees and a current supervisor in the Department of City Planning Light Commercial Division of accepting bribes to expedite building permits. Oh, here we go. The issue, which spanned a year and a half, names permit technicians Sheanger McGee and Janisha Tucker, along with their supervisor, Angela Epps. Assistant Deputy Inspector General Shelby Williams explained that Epps was placed on paid administrative leave last month. Oh, that must be nice. You're being indicted for bribery, but you get paid leave courtesy of the city. The specific conduct that was reported to us was customers being contacted to pay for an expedited review related to the permitting process, Williams said. The OIG report found that the employees solicited arbitrary payments from customers and contractors seeking to cut through bureaucratic red tape. According to Williams, as little as $50 and as much as $1,200 demanded to expedite the process from different people. The revelation has raised eyebrows across the city, drawing uncomfortable comparisons to much larger corruption scandals in 2017 that led to the convictions of several individuals, including construction owner E.R. Mitchell and Charles Richards, as well as Pastor Mitzi Bickers, on charges of conspiracy to commit bribery and money laundering. Memories are very short, and so here we are in the week of that scandal, and there are still remnants of the behavior still here, the Inspector General remarked. More than that, because we read a pay-for-play scandal a couple of months back in the Atlanta area and in other places. Cruising says felonies, voting, and voting rights restoration vary state to state. And also, the best scam they've heard of to date is the one you ran about the lady in Chicago who stole $1 million worth of chicken wings from the school district. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And Puck says diversity is our strength. Exactly, because all 3 of those people that were named in this newest bribery scandal are women of color and Democrats. Brian says facade to pretend you're a good person, to look like a good person, to get attention when deep down inside your soul is crap. Yeah. And Dragon says investigation turned over to the Fulton DA. Here we go. Yeah, no kidding. I trust her. I trust her to handle it. Yeah. Fawny Willis, haven't heard much about her lately either. She needs to be investigated herself. She needs to be investigated more thoroughly than she was, because there's a lot of problems there. There's a lot going on. And I'm waiting for it because she's very crooked. She's very crooked. And how does this happen? Well, you could ask George Soros. Why don't we ask George Soros how we end up with corrupt, I should say, politicians? Fox News article. You'll get a kick out of this one. If Restream puts it up, there we go. Soros-backed dark money network paid New York Democrat candidate salary, and it's incredibly problematic. A top Democratic House recruit drew a salary worth tens of thousands of dollars from a left-wing dark money group heavily bankrolled by George Soros, Fox News Digital has learned. New York congressional candidate Laura Gillen, a town supervisor in the Long Island town of Hempstead, drew a $40,000 fellow salary with the group Our American Future Foundation in 2023, according to her financial disclosures. The group and a sister nonprofit, Our American Future Action, help pay expenses for individuals, overwhelmingly Democrat, who plan to run for office in the future. According to the Open Society Foundations, the umbrella of groups founded by Soros, its Open Society Action Fund has donated more than $18 million to Our American Future Action to support nonpartisan policy advocacy and civic engagement. Tax filings show Our American Future Action is Our American Future Foundation's direct controlling entity. Our American Future Foundation also received direct support from the Soros empire. It got an undisclosed level of funding last year from the Jennifer and Jonathan Allen Soros Foundation, a charitable group run by one of the left-wing billionaire's sons. That's fascinating. So Soros sent money to his Jennifer and Jonathan Allen Foundation that sent money to the Open Society Action Fund that donated money to Our American Future Action Foundation that donated money to Democrat hopefuls in the form of a salary to help them cover expenses. Wow. There you go. There you go. Must be nice. Maybe I should pretend to run for Democrat and he'll send me $10,000 or $40,000. And Puck wants to know, didn't Fawny's boyfriend disappear? Haven't heard anything from him since she was ordered to discharge him from the case. But, I mean, he already earned damn near $1.5 million in taxpayer funding. Madge says Soros probably methamphetamine psychosis has a lot to do with the corruption. And Gary says nowadays it's considered patriotic to break American laws and get paid a bribe at the same time. May as well get paid for it. May as well get paid for it. And how did they pay her? Yeah, a $40,000 fellow salary with the group. And what does that mean? What exactly is that job? A fellow's salary. So she didn't do anything. She just collected a check. And that's her. And there's Marley back from the grave. Incredible. And Puck says Soros can't do that in Russia or Hungary, and Democrats are big mad about that too. And all people, I'll put that up real quick, showing where Fani Willis's parents come from. And that is questionable. That is very questionable. And that does that is problematic. Because she, even though they tried to hide it by counter donating, giving it to her almost, or not just her, but other candidates, because it says that it's shelled out over $18 million in the last couple of years to people like her. So it's like quadruple stacked back. She knows where that money's coming from. She knows. And you know what's funny? The most disturbing thing I find about that picture is the one long hair that's coming out of his nose. I'm always the guy who notices that kind of stuff. He's got a hair, it's like a half an inch long, coming out of his left nostril. And it's like, I just want to grab it and yank it out. Maybe he'll blow up if I do that. Maybe that's what's holding him together. Because I don't know how this guy is still alive. I don't know how this guy is still alive. He looks like the picture of Dorian Gray. All the evil is right there. Incredible. Incredible. But that is problematic. If I was getting money like that. Oh, Gary says it's not a hair, it's an alien antenna. Oh, so he would short out. And then Puck says, Newsweek headline, House GOP says it can't find Nathan Wade amid Fonnie Willis probe. Interesting. They don't know where he is. He's hiding out. I'd hide out too. But you know, there is a solution. And Tim Waltz has it. You ready for this one? Reuters article. This one will knock you on your butt if you're not already sitting down. Waltz promises Muslims will have an equal role in the Harris administration. Thank God. I was worried. I was so worried that Muslims were not going to have 50% representation in government. That was a big concern for me. Are you sure you're telling the truth, Tim? Because, you know, Chinese don't like Muslims. They don't like them. Did the People's Republic of China tell you that you could say that, Tim? Or are we going to find you floating in your pool next week? Tim Waltz, Democrat presidential candidate, Kamala Harris's running mate on Thursday, promised Muslim Americans an equal role in their administration should they win the election, as Democrats scramble to win back Muslim backing that has eroded over U.S. support for Israel. Oh, well. Vice President Harris and Waltz, the governor of Minnesota, are trying to woo Muslim voters, furious over President Biden's administration's staunch backing of Israel during its year-old war in Gaza against Hamas. Harris has pledged continued support for Israel while emphasizing her push for a ceasefire. Words Waltz echoed on Thursday while promising a role for Muslims. Quote, Vice President Harris and I are committed that this White House will continue to condemn in all forms anti-Islam, anti-Arab sentiments being led by Donald Trump. But more importantly, a commitment that Muslims will be engaged in this administration and serve side by side, Waltz said during an online meeting organized by Engage Action, a Muslim American advocacy group that recently endorsed Harris. Well, thank goodness that one of them endorsed Harris, right? I was worried about that. Yeah, that's I mean, after his debate with Vance, I got to wonder if he's trying to sabotage Harris's run. Oh, no. And Madge says Muslims despise Democrats. And Jericho says, your sarcasm will never cease to amaze me. It's hilarious. I got to be sarcastic because otherwise the news is so toxic, it would make me crazy. It would make me crazy reading it every day. So I got to have some fun with it. Cruising says, great. Now we have a cabinet of Muslim transformers rather than qualified individuals. Yeah, I know, huh? Transmogrified Muslims, and they can wear head wraps that are made with pride flags. That'll go over really well in the Middle East. Jericho said, should they win, what happens if they don't? Well, you know, then we get another 4 years like when Trump was in office. And Puck says they should be included in the mass deportations as a sign of commitment to fairness. I know. Send them all home. Send them all home. Thank you, Waltz. Thank you for further sabotaging the Harris campaign while you're trying to obviously pander to Muslims. You know, he likes those. He likes them because he's hoping that they'll let him borrow some of them Arabian stallions. Then he can get the good stuff. Somebody gets that. Somebody gets that reference. Also, just wanted to throw something out there. For anybody who might be listening that thinks that social medicine is a good idea, all those young people out there, I know they'll never see this channel. I'm preaching to the choir. But you ever wanted socialism, and you always, oh, if the America could be socialist, then you could have social medicine and free healthcare like they do in Canada and the UK and wherever. I have a friend who lives in Canada, okay? And he had a car accident at the beginning of the week. I just heard from him this morning, and that's why I wanted to talk about this while it's fresh on my mind. I heard from him this morning. He had a car accident. He was sitting at a stoplight. Light was red, and the car behind him rear-ended him. The person was like looking at their phone or whatever, didn't notice traffic wasn't moving, plowed into the back of his car at cruising speed, and he got a head injury. Okay, police report, then it's off to the emergency room, right? He's dizzy, he's vomiting, so that indicates a concussion. That indicates a concussion. All right. Head hurts, neck hurts, dizzy, throwing up. He's sitting in the emergency room more than 24 hours. Okay. Told me this whole story this morning. He finally gets ushered from the emergency room to intake. Intake is virtual. There's nobody there. He's sitting in front of a screen to talk to a doctor to explain his problem. Hey, I've been here about 24 hours now. I was rear-ended from behind. We filed the police report, but man, I'm dizzy. I've been throwing up. I had a neck injury 9 years ago. I'm not doing well. And the doctor is like, wow, all right, I'm gonna print you off. By the way, he waited 2 hours in the intake room before the doctor came on the screen. So now we're at 26 hours, okay? I almost forgot that. 2 hours waiting for the intake. And we might run over here, but that's okay. The doctor is like, yeah, you might have a concussion. You need I think he said an MRI. I'm going to print you off something to turn in at the desk for expedition, okay? For expedition. And Jane says that's horrible. EMT, virtual emergency room visit. It's crazy, right? He gets out of the virtual visit, turns in his expedition papers or expeditionary papers, whatever the hell he called it, to get fast-tracked. Don't you know he had to wait another 23 hours before they rolled him out? So now at this point, he's there just over 2 days in the emergency room and had not been seen before they finally processed him, started checking him out, blood pressure, whatever, checked his eyes. They got him scanned, however many hours that took. He was there from Monday to Wednesday. And Brian made a donation to the channel. Thank you, Brian. As always, thank you very much for that. Goes a long way to helping us with our feline friends here. So, guys, young people, anyone happens to be watching, and he does have a concussion, by the way. He's being treated for it now. And they sent him home. But they want him to come back to follow up. They want him to come back for follow-up. And he was like, I don't know if I want to bother. Why? I've got a life to live here. I've got a life to live here. No kidding. No kidding. But anybody out there who ever thought social medicine paid for from your tax dollars was a good idea, that's about how it goes. And again, this was in Canada, and I might reiterate that story Monday for anyone who didn't catch it. And there is Granny Smith still knocked out on the floor. And I'm going to go ahead and start signing off because we are at the top of the hour again. If you are listening anywhere else, you can find us on Coffee Talk and Prepper University on YouTube. That's at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University. And the P.O. box has changed. That's the new P.O. box. I'll throw it up there. And I got to go through and try to change some of them. But that is a new P.O. box. We moved to a different post office box for anybody who needed it. A special thanks to Brian, who made a donation to the channel. Always helpful. Thank you, everyone else who was able to join us here today. And as always, hope you got something out of the conversation. And, well, Legends wants to know, are you live streaming on the other channel tomorrow? Not sure. Not sure. Got a convention tomorrow morning. We'll see. We'll see. But again, hope you got something.